2015 was my second year ever attending Untitled Elite. I really enjoyed it last year, and this time around was even better. The best way to describe Untitled Elite is to say that it's a mini anime Midwest, as they are run by the same people and take place in the same hotel. In fact, this year's Untitled Elite reminded us a lot of 2013's anime Midwest, but with better organization. Untitled Elite takes place in the Hyatt in Rosemont, Illinois, the same hotel as Anime Midwest and Anime Central. Though, unlike the two bigger cons, Untitled Elite does not use the convention center that's right next door because it really doesn't need to. It may grow big enough for it someday, but as of this year, the Hyatt provided more than enough space for everyone and everything. The dealer's room and artist alley were moved from their location last year into the basement. I think this helped a lot. The dealer's room felt much bigger, with everything you could really ask for. A lot of people didn't like how cramped parts of the artist alley were, and I get that, but they had a lot of artists there, and I have no idea where else they could have put it that would have made things less cramped. So all in all, I was fine with it. Something this con does that really sets it apart from a lot of other cons is their con suite. It's just a nice gathering area of the con where they give out free ramen, rice, nachos, and soda. It's handled very well, and because the con isn't super big, lines are never really a problem. Untitled Elite's game room was pretty good all in all. My only complaint is that it really did feel a little too small for this con. Last year, Untitled Elite was pretty small, and while it's still a small con, it felt like it grew a lot this year, but the game room didn't grow with it. I would love to see the game room in a bigger room so there can be more games in there, and overall just more space to move around. But other than it being cramped, it was still a good game room. Much like last year, this con was really well organized. Everything always seemed to run smooth. There were a couple of late panels, and the cosplay contest was pretty late, but out of 30 cons, I've only ever seen one where it started on time. So I can't knock them too hard for this. One event I would like to note is their formal ball. I personally find it to be the best ball at any con I have been to. I highly recommend you go to this event next year. It normally happens Friday evening. Lastly, the raves on Friday and Saturday were really good. They felt much bigger than last year's. Greg Ayers was good as always, but a big shout out to DJ Oso. We really loved the music he played, and he seemed to know exactly what the crowd wanted. I hope to see more of this guy at a lot more cons. The size of this convention is small. The location gets a 10 out of 10. The Hyatt holds this con very well. I love this location, and if the con ends up growing too much in the coming years, they can always expand into the convention center. Organization gets a 9 out of 10. One of the most organized cons we go to. The only reason it's not a 10 is because of a few late starts. We also heard from a lot of people that there was a problem with meetups not having clear locations in the guidebooks. We didn't have any problems with this, but so many people told me about it that I couldn't not mention it. The dealer's room gets a 10 out of 10. I mean, honestly, I don't know what else I would want from the dealer's room. For the size of the con, this dealer's room was almost bigger than it needed to be, but that's never a bad thing. The game room gets an 8 out of 10. I really do love all the games they had, and I feel the people who run the game room, I Play Games, really know what they're doing and really care about it. But again, I just really want to see it in a bigger room. On Saturday, we walked in and just turned around and left because it was way too cramped. Panels get a 9.5 out of 10. Again, just a few late starts, but all in all, everything ran super smooth with panels. Every panel we went to, we ended up having a great time. Guests get a 10 out of 10. For the size of the con, they pulled some pretty big guests. They didn't have a ton of people, but it was without a doubt enough. As the con grows, I would hope they start to get a few more, but this works great for now. Staff gets a 9 out of 10. All the staff that we met were very helpful. The only problem we had is that we just didn't think there were enough staff. More than once we went into an area where we should have needed to show our badges, but there was no one there checking. So if you're interested in being staff, be sure to volunteer next year. The raves get a 10 out of 10. There isn't much more I can say about the raves. The DJs were great, the sound system seemed to be pretty good, the lighting was phenomenal, and the crowd was into it the whole night. What more do you need? All in all, I feel that Untitled Elite really might be the best small con around this area. Without a doubt the best one happening near Christmas. If you're looking for a nice Christmas con, I would say this is probably the one for you. Firstly, I give Untitled Elite 2015 a small con score of 9.5 out of 10. This is a new thing I'm doing with small cons. They're just too small to be judged against cons of all sizes alone. This score shows how good this con is next to other small cons. I really feel this is one of the best small cons. If you're into smaller conventions, this one shouldn't be missed. As for an overall score, judging it against cons of all sizes, I give Untitled Elite 2015 an 8 out of 10.